Hello everyone and welcome to today's video. Today we have some very important news out of the state of Wisconsin, where conservative Wisconsin Supreme Court Justice Rebecca Bradley has officially announced she will not be running for re-election. Now, liberals in the state of Wisconsin are eyeing the open seat race next spring as an opportunity to expand their current 4-3 majority on the battleground state's highest court. And this article from NBC News explains it a little bit further. It says that the conservative Wisconsin Supreme Court Justice Rebecca Bradley on Friday announced that she would not be seeking re-election, setting up another major judicial election in the battleground state next year. In a statement, the Supreme Court Justice wrote, "For years, I have warned that under the control of judicial activists, the court will make itself more powerful than the legislature, more powerful than the governor. That warning went unheeded, and Wisconsin has only seen the beginning of what is an alarming shift from thoughtful, principled judicial service toward bitter partisanship, personal attacks, and political gamesmanship that have no place in the court." Bradley, who has served on the technically nonpartisan court since 2015, said in a statement, "The conservative movement needs to take stock of its failures, identify the problem, and fix it. I will not take re-election to the Wisconsin Supreme Court because I believe the best path for me to rebuild the conservative movement and fight for liberty is not a minority member of the court," she added. Bradley's retirement could provide liberals with an opportunity to expand their 4-3 majority on the Wisconsin Supreme Court after winning a pair of hard-fought elections in recent years that have drawn a lot of national attention. Now in 2023, Janet Proskowitz defeated a conservative former justice to flip control of the court in the liberals' favor for the first time in 15 years, and then back earlier this year, Susan Crawford won a seat on the court in April, beating conservative Brad Schimmel to cement liberals' majority on the court. Elon Musk, the tech mogul and former advisor to President Trump, was a major figure in this race, spending over $12 million through a super PAC to try and help Schimmel and his chances of winning this race. The race featured more than $75 million in spending on both sides, surpassing the 2023 race to become the most expensive Supreme Court race ever in the state of Wisconsin. Before Bradley's decision not to run for another 10-year term on the court, one liberal candidate, appeals court judge Chris Taylor, has already entered the race. She has been endorsed by groups like Emily's List, a national organization that seeks to help Democratic women who favor abortion rights get elected. Taylor's campaign manager, Ashley Fran, said in a statement, "Judge Taylor has spent the last 3 months traveling across Wisconsin, connecting with voters and building support for her campaign for Wisconsin Supreme Court because our state deserves someone who stands for justice. This announcement doesn't change that." The incredible support for Judge Taylor shows how important this race is, no matter who Republicans and right-wing special interests recruit to run against her. Wisconsinites will once again have a clear choice between a candidate who believes in stripping rights away and Judge Taylor, who has always been on the side of the people. Supreme Court races, which are typically lower profile in other states, have also drawn national attention in recent years as they've weighed polarizing issues like abortion and redistricting. And that's a big point I wanted to make in this video, was I think, obviously, having Supreme Court justices in the state will have very big decision makers on issues like abortion and redistricting. Redistricting especially, I think I know a little bit more about in terms of discussions of this channel, as I've done that a lot, but definitely very important. Now, this article from NBC was written by Alexandra Marquez, and I think you should go check that out if you want to read more about this. So this is very interesting because back in April, or May, as the article mentioned, Susan Crawford defeated Brad Schimmel. Crawford was the Democratic-aligned candidate, Brad Schimmel the Republican-aligned candidate, by roughly about 10 points, 55-45. And Susan Crawford got 1,301,137 votes, Schimmel 1,062,330 votes. And you may be looking at this, the voter turnout in this race was actually very, very high. When you compare it, for instance, we can look at the 2024 presidential race and see what it ended up being like in 2024 when Trump won against Clinton by 0.86%. We can look here. Trump got roughly 1.7 million votes. Kamala Harris got almost about 1.6 and 0.7 million votes or so. And we could also look at the Senate race and just see how that one compared as well. Where the Democrat got 1.6 and a half or so, 1.6 and 3/4, and 1.6 and a half for Eric Hovde. So the Supreme Court race, which was technically an off-year election, had very high voter turnout, 1.3 to 1 million. Very, very big turnout in the state of Wisconsin. And the Democrat-aligned candidate, Susan Crawford, ended up winning. Now, I'm saying aligned because this race is technically nonpartisan, as Wisconsin does not have partisan like D or R next to the candidates' names on the ballots. But it became very clear Susan Crawford was the candidate that Democrats in the state and nationwide were supporting, and Brad Schimmel was the candidate that Republicans statewide and nationwide were supporting. And what ended up happening was the Democrat ended up winning, and the Democrats now hold the majority in Wisconsin Supreme Court, 4-3. Now, of the 3 Republicans, obviously, as we're talking about this today, Rebecca Bradley is one of the 3. And this race is going to be very close. Now, if this race next year, which will take place in 2026, if it were to go to the Democrats, then we would see the Democrats get up to a 6-2 majority on the Wisconsin Supreme Court. Now, obviously, that'd be very good for Democrats and very bad for Republicans. And when you look at this race, a 10-point race, this is one of the biggest Democratic wins we've seen in the state of Wisconsin in a very long time. As I showed you, the Senate race was decided by under 1 point between the Democratic Senator Baldwin and the Republican Hovde in 2024. The presidential race, President Trump won the state of Wisconsin by 0.86%. The last time we saw a race even remotely close to that 10-point margin, you'd have to go back to 2012 when Barack Obama defeated Mitt Romney in the state of Wisconsin by 6.9%. 2008, Obama won against John McCain in Wisconsin by about 14%. So sort of in between the 2008 and 2012 presidential results was the last time we saw a margin of victory like this. Even the governor's races have been very close in the state. It was a 3.4% win for Tony Evers in 2022. 2018, Evers defeated Scott Walker, the Republican governor, by 1.1%. Back in 2014, Scott Walker won re-election by 5.7% on the Republican side. In 2010, he won by 5.8%. And before that, 2006, was roughly 7.4%. So there had not been a 10-point Democratic or Republican win at the governor level in the state of Wisconsin really since 2008 with Barack Obama against John McCain, what was a very long time ago. Now, at the Senate level, you could go back, I believe Tammy Baldwin actually in 2018 put up pretty strong numbers at 10.8%. So this is actually probably the last time there was a race even remotely close to this. And just looking at the results, 55.36 for Baldwin, 44.53 for Leah Vukmir, the Republican. You look at this map, and you see, obviously, you have Madison and Milwaukee being blue, but look at the surrounding areas. Racine and Kenosha counties, typically very competitive suburbs that usually voted Republican in 2024, both of which going blue in 2018. All the surrounding counties of Rock County, Columbia County, Greene County, surrounding Madison, these very key areas that President Trump either won or made very significant gains in 2024, were all safe wins here. And I'm pointing this out because that's what happened in the Supreme Court race. Columbia voted blue by 10 points, so did Sauk. Iowa, so did Greene. So did Rock over here as well. Columbia, this one. So this was very big, and the Democrats are looking to certainly try and do this again next year. Now, obviously, this is going to have very important ramifications on a lot of decisions made at the state level that impact the people of the state of Wisconsin. But a very important one as well is what happens at the House level in Wisconsin. Wisconsin right now currently has 6 Republican members of Congress and 2 Democrats, despite the fact that the House vote overall in 2024 was 51.2 for the Republicans, 48.3 for the Democrats. At the presidential levels I showed you, Trump only won the state 49.6 to 48.7. So Wisconsin is really as much of a 50-50 state in the United States that you will find. Still, Republicans hold the majority of 6-2 at the U.S. House level. Now, there was multiple lawsuits filed in the past few years or so for the Democrats to try and redraw the congressional map to make it a more, they would say, fair representation of the Democrats' accurate vote percentage of Wisconsin. And there's been really not much success in the lawsuit front thus far, but Democrats don't want to give up and they want to keep trying to get that. It's also worth noting a big part of the campaign on the Republican side and the Supreme Court side was saying if the Democratic candidate wins, they're going to redraw the House map and several Republican members of Congress could be gone. Now, obviously, the Democrats won, and now they have the majority on 4-3 on the court. If it becomes a 5-2 majority on the court, then that could be an even larger majority for the Democrats. And if that were to happen, you're looking at Republicans like Derek Van Orden in Wisconsin's 3rd District. He is certainly a top target of Democrats. Republican Brian Steele in Wisconsin's 1st District is also another top target. And then maybe they could try and redistrict the map to get the Republican weed out of Wisconsin's 8th District. Just to give you an idea, though, of what it would look like, we can look at the House map from 2024 here. Let me just pull it up. We saw Republicans win 220 House seats, Democrats 215. Now, obviously, there's been a lot of redistricting happening around the country in Texas and California. We're starting to get news in Missouri and Florida and Indiana and such. So this is going to change a lot. But just specifically for the state of Wisconsin, we could see something like this, where the Democrats, if they redraw the map, could potentially flip Wisconsin's 3rd district. That can get the Democrats an extra seat. If they could get the 1st district as well, that would get the Democrats 2 extra seats. And then if they're somehow able to target out this district and redraw it in a way as well, that would get the Democrats the majority in the U.S. House just in the state of Wisconsin alone, if nothing else changed. Now, let's just say hypothetically that, let's say for some reason the Democrats can't get this district, and the Democrats can only flip those 2 in the way they're redrawn. Even still, based on the 2024 House results, that gets the Democrats within 1 seat of flipping the U.S. House. Now, you have to account, obviously, everything happening in Texas, in California, and around the country, and how that would all play out. But Wisconsin plays a very important role in the redistricting the U.S. House map for 2026 if they were able to do that. And that is a very big if. But if the Democrats can't do that in 2026 for some reason, well, with a more strong Supreme Court race, or Supreme Court in Wisconsin, a 5-3 majority, or I'm sorry, a 5-2 majority instead of a 4-3 majority, then it is possible the Democrats may have a better chance of redistricting before 2028, where then they can net another seat or 2 in the state of Wisconsin, maybe even a 3rd seat. So this is very big news, certainly very important for the future of elections in the state of Wisconsin. I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to like and subscribe. If you enjoyed it, leave a comment below telling me your thoughts, and I hope to see you in a future video.